Well, first of all, I don't have a take on emerging markets. I have a take on different countries in emerging markets. Russia should not be a brick. They're not improving governance. Corruption's a disaster. If you're in the strategic sectors and the Kremlin likes you, that's fine, but otherwise it's difficult. When we talk about India as an emerging market, it's a different story, and as a longer-term play, you can get excited. Look, I was just with the CEOs that PwC organizes for breakfast every year here at Davos. They do their annual survey, and of all of the countries that corporate CEOs are laying money down, by far the largest for their growth, 30% said the most important country for them globally is China. Now, the growth is there in China, but as we think long-term, the volatility in outcome, both political and economic volatility, the Chinese are forced to completely rebalance a society of 1.3 billion people is greater than any other major country out there. Maybe they'll succeed, but the world has never seen that before, and maybe they won't. And that is the big risk. No one's talking about long-term Chinese sustainability in Davos this year.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the biggest issue out there.
No, but the point is that we often raise questions around China when it comes to governance as well.
Yes.
So while Russia has governance issues of a certain kind, China has its own Pandora's box. In this respect, when you heard this survey, where was India? Were people more concerned about the bureaucracy there, or were they still talking about the growth?
They weren't talking much about India. I mean, the big story on India is it continues to underperform versus its potential because the infrastructure isn't there, the ability of the government to continue to follow through on economic reform is completely bunged up by scandal and the rest. I mean, long-term, the demographics in India are incredibly favorable. They're not as resource-intensive as China. Climate change won't impact them in the same sort of way. You've got incredible entrepreneurship. You've got a lot of businessmen that can manage. And the Chinese-India relationship, even though it's bad from a security perspective, from a business perspective, it's actually doing quite well.
Yeah.
There are lots of reasons to like India, but boy, it's slower than it should be, and it's poorer than it should be. And that's the disappointment. Brazil still is if you want the brick bet that's doing well and that doesn't have much long-term risk, you bet Brazil. Beyond that, people are looking to other emerging markets. Indonesia's starting to... You're hearing more buzz about Indonesia from my perspective than India here this year in Davos. You're hearing a lot about Turkey. There are other countries out there that are going to be attracting a lot of limelight.
But you've met CEOs and you're hearing about people talk about India. My point is, are you worried about the economists out there or the politicians, or are you more worried that the industry, the so-called billionaires of the world in India, will not be able to deliver? What are you worried about?
I guess I'm a little bit more worried about the politics than I am the economics in India. I think that, again, Indian industrialists, even though a lot of them are putting big bets outside of India, they're still very committed to the Indian economy, and they're seen as very capable here.
But are they more hungry for the global story than the globe is hungry for the India story?
Oh, certainly. But the globe's not hungry for the India story right now, and that's just because India's comparatively small. India just isn't mature yet as a global emerging market. It just isn't China. It's nowhere near China. It used to be that you talked about Chindia, you put them on the same page. Nobody does that anymore. It's like you're talking about apples and elephants, right? And the elephant is a little smaller.